Portugal and Spain form the Great Iberian Alliance. They invade the rest of Europe, and their armies are now marching in Prussian territory in the dead of winter. Prussia calls upon their great ally, the United Kingdom. They know that if they don't assist the Prussians, that these Iberian boys will soon be on British shores. Yeah, sure, this scenario is almost impossible in real life, but it's completely possible on Napoleon Total War. Alright guys, what's up? It's Apollo here. Thanks for stopping by and welcome to this very cold and harsh battlefield. So I will be leading the Portuguese, and the Portuguese have one of the saddest rosters on Napoleon Total War. Another reason why NTW3 is just so much better, because the rosters are much more flushed out. So yeah, Portugal has like bare bones roster, which is really unfortunate. But my ally, the Ryan King, is going as the Spanish, and thankfully they have a very cool roster, a lot of ambush troops, which you can see his forces. He's got some vanguard who have set up on very important locations on the battlefield, and they're going to be kind of basically speed bumps to the enemy. Now our strategy in this one is to take this center hill and use it against our opponents. Now we're rushing the hill right now because we want to make sure we control most of it. Also, another thing I wanted to point out here is that the Prussians are taking their time and are in no rush on taking this hill, which is really surprising. And also, their British allies over here, they got a pretty large amount of space in between them. Me and the Ryan King at this moment were thinking, well, maybe we can drive a wedge between these two forces, keep one at bay, right? And then use the other force, basically keep one in bay and then double team the other army. So we'll see how that plays out. We're going to go ahead and do normal speed here because this battle is, well, underway. And the first thing I do is push up my Portuguese cav. Yeah, this is the only cav unit they have. The Portuguese cav, I've got 3 units of them going forward. They're kind of joining forces with the Spanish, so they have extra cav support. Honestly, at this point in the battle, guys, I thought that I thought the enemies were going to rush us, and I honestly thought the vanguard troops that you see here are already going to be under fire and holding their ground, but it didn't happen. The Portuguese, as I noticed, their forces here are actually, look at this, guys. They're actually setting up, let's see. Oh, hold on, hold that phone. You'll see soon enough. You can see that they're taking their time, they're not rushing forward, and they're setting up, now they're doing it. They're setting up stakes to prevent frontal cav charges, which is not a bad idea, but they're completely giving up this giant hill right in front of them. And at this point, I was licking my chops. I was like, yes, oh my god, I need to rush. That's why I was kind of walking my army, because I wanted them well rested, because I assumed the Portuguese were going to be rushing for this hill right in front of us here. But no, I was like, oh my god, okay, they're going to hold there? Well, let's make sure the Prussian player doesn't realize his mistake, and we rush and we hold and we take this hill that I'm looking at right here against the enemy. Now, on this side, the Ryan King already has a pretty solid position. Now, the British decided to hold this hill, again playing very defensively. Now he's got his 6-pounder horse artillery already firing. Listen to this. Woo daddy. Some nice shots there, going after the British artillery, I believe. And the great thing, I love this hill. I love this hill because this hill is so far away from the Prussians, and it's causing a wedge between their two armies as me and the Ryan King kind of march more united. We're gonna fight more united. And there we go. I'm gonna send up my skirmishers to take this hill, and I'm not even worried about his cav. I'm seeing how defensive he's playing and seeing the placement of his artillery, which is a pretty good spot. I'm gonna give him that. And look at that howitzer there. Oh, that is disgusting. It's a pretty good spot, no doubt about it. But still, I feel like I have a much greater advantage taking this hill. And there we go. I got my Triadoras, whatever. I ain't too good with Spanish. But yeah, they're going to open fire and start to skirmish down these Prussian lights. And I'm going to hold this ground. My Spanish ally, the Rhine King, he also has his ambush troops opening fire. I'm setting up even more lights to hold this front line. Now, what does he have? He's got Prussian Fusiliers moving forward as well. So he's actually leaving the location of his stakes. So I saw this as an opportunity to rush my cav in. Now, unfortunately, I don't really have my cav in position. So they're gonna be pretty far back, and that's why I'm moving them forward. You can hear the yell, the loud scream here of this cav as they try to quickly get into position. I see some Prussians out of position. They're now retreating back behind their stakes, so I have to disengage and fall back. So let's go ahead and go to the British side, where you can see the British are actually advancing from their position. And this is the wedge we're forming. You can see the wedge already forming between me and the Rhine King, trying to prevent, or doing the best we can on preventing the Portuguese, or I'm sorry, oh my god, I've probably been doing that all day. I'm going to confuse the Portuguese and the Prussians because I'm dyslexic. Anyways, the Prussians, trying to prevent them from uniting with their British ally. So we're going to continue to hold here. And the Rhine King is just really getting hit hard from their artillery. It's been a pretty rough start. Just me and the Rhine King we just have the worst luck when it comes to artillery. We just never seem to hit the enemy, and the enemy always seems to hit us just right. So we're doing the best we can here. And the Rhine King using his lights here. He's got some light. Look, he's got his light infantry holding the line. He's actually advancing forward, moving them a little bit closer, trying to get them in range. Now, this is where things get pretty interesting. The artillery of the Prussians opening fire on my cav. It's a little, it sucks. And I'm going to go ahead and move up my cav. Try to disperse them a little bit. Make it a little bit harder for his artillery to soften up my cav, because I think the cav's going to be very important. That howitzer still just hitting Rhine King's lights pretty fiercely, I guess you could say. We've got now a force here from the United Kingdom, or Great Britain, of moving their Highland Foot and some King German Legion Lightfoot over to this flank. And you can see he's trying to form an L around the position of the Rhine King's army. And the Rhine King, we didn't really like this, and this is really cool right here. What the Rhine King does here, he moves up his Grenadiers. Now, since the British player is so focused on maneuvering troops over on the other side, he gets his Grenadiers danger close, throws, look at that, throws the grenades. And there goes another volley. They are routing. They threw so many grenades in their position that the British are now routing on this side. An insane amount of Grenadier force, and the British are just still unaware of this advancing small but elite force of Spanish Grenadiers. And there goes another volley into the British position. Woo! That is nice. And right after that, he's going to get his men. I think he's going to rest his men here a little bit. He's even got some light infantry in the front here in skirmishing formation. He's holding back the Grenadiers. The British are now finally falling back. They're like, oh my god, that was terrible. Let's fall back and reform our lines. because we are losing on that flank. Now, over on my side, my men are breaking. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was struggling against the Prussians just by so much. Even though I had the high ground, even though I felt like I had a huge advantage, look at the carnage that the Prussians are putting on my poor Portuguese men. So I was just like, man, Ryan King, I'm losing my fight. I'm losing this battle. And that's when we both agreed that, okay, I just need to hold. I just need to keep these Prussians occupied, and I'm going to start sending resources, troops, and men over to my ally side, because look at this, the Ryan King going in with a bayonet charge. At the same time, I noticed his artillery was completely unprotected. Not completely, but pretty unprotected. I'm going to sacrifice to a suicide charge with my Portuguese cav. And meanwhile, while I'm destroying one of the artillery pieces, the Ryan King is now maneuvering some of his fast-moving cav behind the British position, charging and helping his grenadiers. And just like that, the morale of the foot are starting to break. There's flying lobsters all over the place. And now the British are surrounded, and even more cav charging on the flanks. It was truly an amazing sight, where the battle seemed like it was going very poorly to instantly turning around with this very, not bizarre, but very unique blitzkrieg strategy with the grenadiers in his cav, a mix of lancers and hussars. And we were able to crush the British flank. Now, the British weren't going to have it. They actually had some light dragoons and King German Legion dragoons pushing at the Ryan King's artillery, which unfortunately was undefended because of him moving out his cav as well earlier on in the battle. Now, naturally, the Ryan King is turning around his Fusiliers, and he's taking out the British cav. Unfortunately, he lost both of his artillery, and you constantly see updates about my forces breaking left and right. So let's head back over to the other side of the battlefield and see what's going on here. The Prussians make an attempt to aid their British ally. They actually, I believe they charged my Portuguese cav, and unfortunately, they stopped my Portuguese cav from reinforcing my ally, and they're now finally sending over their much-needed support to their British allies. But the British are not done yet. They still have a solid force, an artillery piece, and the high ground, so they're going to still be able to be a threat. At this point, since the Ryan King has taken a decent amount of casualties, though relatively speaking, has done quite well and has a very, very strong army, I still decide to send over my grenadiers. I have 3 units of grenadiers that I'm going to quickly send to his side to aid him. I was kind of inspired. I was like, good God, that grenadier tactic is just so sexy. I'm going to send over my grenadiers and to aid his assault as the Iberian boys march together to bring down, and I know historically speaking, the British and the Portuguese, longest alliance ever. I hear about it all the time from my Portuguese subs. No, I kid. But yeah, the British are kind of getting ready to hold here, and we are making it so that the Portuguese cannot send any reinforcements. We want to cut them off. We feel like we've done that quite well. Also, the fact that the Portuguese player seems to just be kind of content on holding here and just facing me, which is great because I'm not even fighting the Prussians. And did I call them the Portuguese? I'm sorry. I'm gonna be calling the Prussians Portuguese all day long. I'm just stupid, okay? But the Prussians are just holding their ground against my Portuguese army. And I'm not even fighting them with full force. You can see it's just thinning out. I'm actually sending most of my troops, and I got a lot in reserve over here, but I'm sending my grenadiers full force, column formation, to aid my Spanish brothers in this great hill assault. Now, the hill assault is going to begin with a nice push of the light infantry in skirmish formation. Now, as the Spanish are pushing forward, you can see the Ryan King is kind of using his lights as a distraction, as a force to just, you know, to fire at. The British actually make a pretty good move here, forming a square here with his line infantry, because that's honestly the best option he has. The Spanish cav running through this nearby lower town from the hill, trying to get behind the British position. And this is where I'm going in, guys. This is where I was inspired by the Ryan King's Grenadier play, and I've got my Grenadiers up on this hill. Now, this angle is not great for them, but I'm going to try to get them a little bit closer, and I think you know what's going to come next. And also notice that this formation is in square, so that's going to be awesome. So check this out, guys. Here we go. Got them a little bit closer. They should be close enough. And just like that, the British lines begin to crumble. Now, the Portuguese are desperately sending over line infantry, but it's just too late. They did send over cav, which did cause some damage to Ryan King's light units, no doubt about it. But it's way too late. The British have mostly broken. We have got some Spanish cav charging in. We have killed the British general, and we have successfully have taken this hill against the Redcoats. So now, if you can see, actually, was that the, wait, did we kill the, hold on, no, did we kill the, yeah, we killed the British general, okay. Yeah, I was like, wait, the British general's still over here, how did he die? But he did not escape, and now we're quickly forming to cut off, basically surround these musketeers of Prussia. And I've even got some line infantry over here. Check this out, guys. This was my reserve that was sitting back in that town on that hill, basically. So now I've told them to commit to the fight and cut down the Prussians, as they realize that they're losing this fight and they have to fall back to form their last stand. And our strategy of putting a wedge between the two players worked perfectly. It was really nice. It wasn't exactly a smooth strategy, a tactic, because I did lose a lot of men to the Prussians, but thankfully the Ryan King played flawlessly against the British and was able to take them out without losing too many casualties. And now we march against the Prussians, but look at the balance of power. It's still dead even, guys, but we do have the advantage of being able to out-micro him, because there's two of us against one of him. So I'm very, very excited about this. I love the fact that the Prussians are on the run, because I've been struggling against them this entire battle. So I wanted to be the first to go in against these Prussians, and now I'm pushing down even more lights. I've got the Ryan King and my lights firing down at the Prussian lights. Over this way, my artillery has actually, I'm sorry, that's the Prussians. The Prussian artillery is still firing down. You can see that the Prussians are now committing most of his forces over to this front, and I think he's going to make his stand right here. Now, I do want to note, guys, a little mental note here, that the Ryan King has not moved this unit once, and that the Prussians have no idea that this cav unit exists. So here we go. The Spanish are surrounding. Look at this. They are surrounding the Prussians. The Prussians, unfortunately, formed square right at the last second, and that's when I get my my Grenadiers on the flank. And my Grenadiers still have grenades, guys. They still have plenty of grenades. So I'm trying to get them in position. I'm gonna fire from a distance here. But we've got the Prussians right where we want them. We have this nice slope with this nice vantage point to the enemy. So at this point, I decide to charge in my Grenadiers. I think he was firing a couple shots at him. I lost a couple brave Grenadiers, but I'm gonna push forward. And you know, I want to let the Ryan King know that he doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting. He's done enough for the team. I want to get very aggressive, and I want to take the initiative of taking out the Prussians. Now the Prussians did go back into single line formation or line formation. The Ryan King was able to charge in his cav. I was a little worried about this because of friendly fire. So I think I told my men to hold fire here until the Ryan King got his cav out of there. He's also charging back lines in the rear of his forces. There we go. I throw the grenades. So that was another pretty successful grenade toss and then charge. But the Prussians here are actually holding quite well against my Portuguese. Prussians, their lines are thinning, but our lines are also thinning as well. It's not that we're just completely routing them off the battlefield. The balance of power is looking pretty good for us, but the Prussians still have a lot of troops left, and they can still do a lot. Now, unfortunately, we missed this cav charge, but the Ryan King, with this hidden cav unit that was located over here, he mobilized them and took out the Prussian artillery that was just undefended because he assumed that there was nothing that was going to harass them. We have just killed the Prussian general. The cav is now disengaging and charging for some light units. So really good use with that Spanish cav, and now my Grenadiers, who have done quite a lot of work, once again throwing their grenades. So I decide not to charge here. I'm gonna let my ally charge in first. And there we go. Now I'm charging in. And they break, though. Look at, I love that. The smoke is still there, so you couldn't see exactly what's going on. But once you see the smoke clear, you see the backs of our enemies fleeing the battlefield. It was great. That's awesome. So now the Prussians are down to about 3 units of infantry. And our Iberian Alliance force is now going to overwhelm these last couple of units. In a desperate last stand, the Prussians form square and try to fight pretty much every angle of the enemy, or that they're surrounded by us, and you know, we're their enemy. There we go. The Prussians are breaking. They're down to 1 last unit, and there they go. They lay down their muskets. They surrender. They retreat. They try to get out of here, and it looks like the Iberian Alliance is going to they're going to keep pushing through Europe, and the British better get ready for a beach landing. That would be cool. I wish there was beach landing assaults in Napoleon. That would be badass. So yeah, I did not do too great here in today's battle, only getting 643 kills. I really struggled It was a great learning experience for me. I really struggled here because I think the Prussians just had more guns on me on this hill, even though I had better terrain. I think the artillery positioning was really great for the Prussians, and they did a great job getting 1,111 kills. 11111. His ally getting just under 500 kills. You know, the fact that he was so separated, I think it's because he stretched out his army so thin that it gave the Rhine King an opportunity of flanking around and using his grenadiers and his cav to break them. And because the Portuguese were too slow of supporting the British, we were able to then focus all of our firepower and then move on to the Prussians, and they just slowly got chipped away. So the Rhine King, look at that, getting 1,571 kills. He was on fire in this battle and just destroyed the British. And it was a fun game. It was frustrating for me, but seeing the Rhine King do so well and being able to support him with the Portuguese grenadiers was a lot of fun. I could really concentrate on small parts of the battle because most of my army was just sitting still, holding back the Prussians. But if we look at who got the most kills, it was actually just an infantry unit. My grenadiers were in second here. I think I had three grenadiers, and most of them are on the top of the board here. Again, kills is not necessarily a great indicator of how well your units did. Sometimes units can do something really important and not get a ton of kills. My artillery literally did nothing there, which is just unfortunate. I think I was just outmatched in terms of artillery against the Prussians. That was another reason why I struggled. But that's gonna wrap it up for today's battle, guys. I hope you enjoyed this great Iberian Alliance battle. It was a lot of fun, and if you did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and share and subscribe for more epic battles. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time on the battlefield.